What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Fantasy Pros Basketball Betting Show. I'm Tera Roberts here with Joe Madden. We are going through our favorite bets for the NBA and college basketball. It's always a fun show because we literally touch on everything. We've got props, spreads, overs, unders, and we are taking your questions live. So drop them in the chat if there are any bets that you have questions on, any bets that you have made and you would like for us to look at, or you just recommending to people in general. That is awesome too, because we are all here to win together. So what's up, Joe? How has the week been treating you here?
It's been a pretty good week so far. It's nice to do the show here on a Wednesday. We've got a couple of days of really great games out there on the hardwood. So, yeah, it's been good so far. I'm excited for tonight. We've got some fun storylines like LeBron returning to Cleveland tonight, his hometown team here taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. So we're going to see how he does. I'm kind of jaded on LeBron James, though, after he did me dirty on his birthday. So I'm not sure if I really want to back him tonight. I kind of looked at him a little bit, but didn't put a whole lot of money on it. Tara, how's your week been so far?
It's been good. I'm 100% with you on that LeBron cold thing. Like, I was looking and you see the little, I see little symbols next to his name. It's like, oh, you know what? I don't, it's a fun event, but I don't know if I want to get burned. I'm doing good. My Tigers bounced back with a win over Georgia Tech. So that was wonderful this weekend, back on track there. Other than that, doing good, multitasking. It's great sports time. I mean, my God, we've got NFL head coaching changes all over the board, and I'm loving the drama of that. I love the storylines of that. You mentioned storylines, all of the off season with sports in general. It's fun. I love, fantasy and betting and DFS and games and stuff. But I do really enjoy the off season for several sports there and following all of the changes that happen there. So it's been a good week. Got Senior Bowl week for the college guys. Got another big field PGA tournament. We got a great slate tonight. I was looking through the games earlier this week and in anticipation, I was like, okay, we got blessed here with a nice little slate. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I am absolutely as well. And don't forget the trade deadline for the NBA, February 5th. We got John Morant saying he wants to go to the Miami Heat now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. He's in action tonight, of course, for the Grizzlies here as they take on the Hornets. So lots to go over, Tara. It's an exciting night for sure.
Yeah, I'm ready for action. We got some good college stuff as well. I did a couple of college bets yesterday. The over on Virginia and Notre Dame, and then Nebraska covering. I was a little worried about Nebraska. I'm not going to lie on that one, but they pulled through in terms of the cover there, made it a very nice competitive game. So that was fun. So yeah, we'll go ahead and dive in here. And just spoiler alert, guys, we Joe and I are giving you two bets for each of us two bets for NBA and for college. And I get privy to seeing Joe's bets beforehand. And when she sent them over, I was excited because it just so happens that two of her NBA bets were ones that I was looking at, and I was a little too scared to pull the trigger on them. So I'm like, okay, perfect. This is, I might go make some changes literally live here and lean into that. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Let's dive in with the NBA bets. And Joe, we'll start off with one from you.
Okay, I'm excited to hear that, Tara, because these are great games, and I'm really excited to see how the Dallas Mavericks come out tonight at home versus the Timberwolves. Now, this line keeps going up, and I know there's a couple players out for the Mavs in this one, but you're grabbing them plus 7.5, and this is just too many points for me for the Timberwolves to be able to cover. You look at them versus the Western Conference as a favorite out there on the road. They haven't covered in their last 6 games, and we've seen the Mavericks be able to hold tight, going 11-4 against the spread as a home dog on the season. They're also 4-1 in their last 5 games against the spread, including winning it twice straight up as a dog. I'm looking for them to stay competitive in this one. I still can't believe this line keeps going up. When I first looked at it this morning, you were getting the Dallas Mavericks plus 6.5. Now you guys are getting them plus 7.5. I did take them at that plus 7 mark. I'm looking also for Cooper Flagg to be impactful in this game for the Dallas Mavericks. You're looking at him for 6.5 rebounds, coming in nicely. He's consistently getting to the glass, and you've seen him go over the 6.5 rebounds in his last 3. and 7 of his last 10. And you look at the Timberwolves, you look at the scheduling spot, and I don't love it. They're coming off that game versus the Golden State Warriors. We're able to get a win. They're on a losing streak before that, and then they've got the Thunder on deck tomorrow. I think they look past the Dallas Mavericks in this one, and we make some great plus money. Now, can I take them on the money line? It's tempting, Tera. The line keeps going up. They're plus 215. I don't know if I can get there, but I'm definitely grabbing them plus the 7. You guys can get them now live plus 7.5.
I love it. I was looking at that game in particular. I'm right on track there with you with Dallas. And it was Cooper Flagg specifically that I was also looking at because we were getting some nice projections over there in terms of particularly the rebounds as well. So I'm feeling good about that. That was one where I was thinking like, hey, I feel like it's going maybe just a little bit overlooked here just because of, maybe the spread there, but I like the line movement there. So that's a great one. I'm 100% on board with that one. And yeah, if we, get a second here, or no, I'll have some time after the show. I'm literally going to go over there and literally got to go ahead and place that bet for sure now, feeling confident about it. Now that you broke it down for us. Moving on to my first NBA bet here. I'm going with Lauri Markkanen over 29.5 points plus rebounds here. Warriors at the Jazz. This is one where we were expecting a lot of points here. And as I was kind of looking through, I mean, it's just kept shifting up in terms of the over under projected for this one. Just keep changing. Last I checked, it was at 41.5 there. We got Golden State as a favorite here. And when I was looking at the projections are a little tight on Markkanen, but again, this is because obviously the Warriors have been tougher against forwards this season. They've been struggling as of recent. If you're looking at comparable players to Markkanen, they have been hitting the over very frequently recently on points plus rebounds here. And what I love about this situation here and the confidence that I'm having in Markkanen is that we've got him coming off of a game last night where he played 29 minutes. That is well below his season average, but I feel like that was a really good amount to get for him in his first game back. Going through the injury report, he was not listed at all. And they've got multiple players on there that are questionable due to illness or out due to rest, rehabbing injury there. So feeling pretty good about the fact that he was not listed. We're not having to deal with any kind of, question marks in terms of game time decisions. Do I expect them to go massively over? No, but I feel good about getting 29 in that first one that will get a nice little baseline here as well. It would be very interesting, obviously, because the Jazz really, really need him. And the fact that they didn't play Keontae George last night due to rest tells me that they are expecting an offensive boost in this game, trying to keep up with the Warriors there. Good minutes for Markkanen. The Jazz, obviously, very pumped about the combination of Keontae George and Lauri Markkanen in the same matchup here. So we should get a nice boost in scoring in general. Well, and again, we've got a great game total for this match here, 241.5 there. Again, it's just a lot of things lining up that are making sense here. The Jazz and Warriors are both top 10 in pace of play. Jazz, terrible defensive team. The Warriors have taken a hit on that end without Jimmy Butler there. But the game as a whole, I'm feeling like the Jazz can keep this close enough to where we don't have to worry about this becoming a major minutes issue if they're, a blowout and then we maybe don't see Markkanen enough. I feel like this is going to be a little bit more competitive here. And I also love the fact that we are seeing this line come down a little bit here. 29.5 is very reasonable for him. It is the first time just overall in general, it's the first time that it's dipped below 30 for him for points plus rebounds since literally October. So it's a very appropriate line here for him. And we're looking at the past 15 games just in general for him. He's hit the over on that mark in 12 out of 15 games. So I really like, I know it feels maybe a little bit uncomfortable just because you're maybe thinking, okay, well, first game back, back to back, maybe they rest him a little bit. I really think with the addition of Keontae George there that they're trying to make this the focal feature point game for them of this back to back here. So I'm feeling good about the minutes being enough to get Markkanen there.
Yeah, I think we get the minutes out here. I looked at this line because at first he hadn't made my cart, Tera, but I did tail you on this one because as soon as I started looking at his numbers, I went, okay, yes, he's coming in off back-to-back. So second night of a back-to-back here, but you're looking at a player that's averaging right around 27 points per game, 7 rebounds. So I'm expecting him to get that time out there on the court. And we know on the other side for Golden State, Steph Curry is going to be shooting those shots up from the perimeter. With him shooting the shots up from the perimeter. It gives Makakin another opportunity to be able to get those rebounds as well. So I'm looking at this one. I got Steph over the 4.5 made threes, and I definitely tailed you on this. I just think the number is way too light. I won't be shocked if he hits 32. And I love that you say he hasn't hit a number this low since back in October, because that's what I started looking at. I started looking at where his line was set over the last couple of months, and I'm going, what am I missing here other than the second night of back-to-back, right?
Yeah, exactly. If it was a little bit higher, I'd been like, you know what, maybe I might want to lean the other way, maybe look at George. But the fact that it came down this far right here, feel pretty good and comfortable with that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. You totally could.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to your next bet there for NBA, Joe. What do you got for us?
Okay, I'm turning to the matchup between the New York Knicks and the Toronto Raptors, and I've got Karl Anthony Towns here for his rebounds tonight. Now, this number is coming in at 11.5, and it's just way too light when we look at Karl Anthony Towns and what he's been able to do versus the Raptors here on the road. So he's been averaging over those last 3 road games. He's had 15 or more rebounds in those games, and at 11.5, I know that the Knicks are going to be fighting their way in this. We've seen actually quite a bit of movement here in the lines. I'm going to have to check, Tara, if you know why it's moved from 2.5 for the Raptors up to 4.5. Maybe someone is listed out here for the Knicks, but I'm looking at a Knicks team that has covered the spread in their last 5 meetings versus the Raptors. They've won those last 5 meetings, including 2 already this season. I know the Raptors are going to be looking for revenge, but I just don't see it happening. I think the Knicks stay completely competitive in this one. Karl Anthony Towns is able to get those rebounds, and we just have a solid performance out of him. So look for him to play strong in this one. I love looking at players and what they've done versus teams so far on the season. And with 15 rebounds in the last 3 here in Toronto, you got to look to fire him up tonight.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. That's another one that I was looking at, and I'm not going to lie, people, like, I was scared. I was like this close, and then I chickened out, and I was like, oh my God, do I really want to bet Cat for the, but everything that you said, like, just makes 100% sense there. And again, we've got it, like, it's such a weird one, because I know obviously just in general, there's a lot of waning confidence in Cat and the role that he's got, the increased minutes there for Robinson, because they've got a lot of talent, right? So I mean, there's like a ton of directions that you can go, but again, as you were saying, this is just a really good matchup. When we're looking at it, I mean, you couldn't ask for a closer projections in terms of there being a more competitive game here on the slate. So I too feel good about the fact that this is going to work out for him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, make sure you do shop those lines, because there are some books, if you do like the Raptors, there's 3.5 still hanging around, but the majority of them have fired up to that 4.5. I'd grab the Knicks plus the 4.5 if you're able to still get it on your books by the time you take a look here.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to shift a little bit of that money over there into the other side.
They definitely are trying to get someone to take something here for sure.
Moving on to my next NBA bet here. I went with LaMelo Ball over 24.5 points plus assists there. Charlotte at Memphis. Again, this is another close game. That's why I like this slate, because we've got a lot of games that should not in theory end up being a whole bunch of blowouts there. So we got some nice competitive games here. The good over under on this one here. We're at last time I looked, we were at 230.5 there, had moved up a little bit since opening there. Charlotte favorite over Memphis there. This has not been a favorable prop to bet for LaMelo overall, particularly as of late. He has hit the under on this in 10 of the past 15 games, but we've got a significant gap in terms of projections, like a wildly significant gap. This is one of the better, I think I want to say it was like a 5-star on BettingPros in terms of ratings there, with BettingPros having Ball projected for 31, just over 31 points plus assists there. The Grizzlies, obviously, they're dealing with a ton of injuries there. That should help lighten up this matchup a little bit defensively for LaMelo. Hornets played on Monday against the 76ers. It was a blowout. It was an extreme blowout over by halftime. LaMelo only played 20 minutes, and it was a bit of a rough game in general for him. Brandon Miller Butler was on fire. LaMelo was a little bit cold, hit 4 of 12 from the field. Assists were obviously not a problem that matchup. It's not hard for the assists to be a problem. It was a fantastic game overall. But this for LaMelo I feel like it's a really good game for him to get back on track. I do feel confident that he will hit the points alone. But again, assists have been very steady for him just because of the overall offensive efficiency there. So given the fact that it's the steadiest stat, I'm liking pairing it up here with points and doing points plus assists to give us a nice little safeguard in case the points dip a little bit below expectations on this one. But the confidence is the combination that we can get here for LaMelo. One, again, we've got a competitive game. We should not get that aggressive, massive blowout potential again. 2, decent point total again, with potentially hitting the over on this one. And then again, favorable matchup there for LaMelo. Should get him around 30 minutes here, since we did see him dip, obviously because of the blowout situation. But when you're looking at LaMelo, when he plays 20 minutes or 28 minutes or more, he's hit this exact line 13 out of the past 15 games here. So just a little bit of anticipation that if we see the increase here on a very reasonable line for him in terms of increase in minutes there, we should hit the over very safely here. So going with LaMelo over points plus assists with confidence here, expecting this to be a fairly competitive game here.
Yeah, it should be a competitive game. Interesting to see, that opening line was Memphis laying the 1.5. Now become that 1.5 point dog at home. And that total has dropped significantly from the 236.5 with money coming in on the under across the board, sitting at that 230.5. But I love where you're going with LaMelo Ball here. I thought his number was too low. And I love that you threw in the assists, not just the points in this game, because you're right. So consistently getting those assists on the board. That's something that has been cashing for me looking at his assists. I would look at Charlotte as well. I think the Hornets have every ability of winning and covering the spread. Now, there are starting to pop 2s out there, you guys. So get on this one. If you want this one, get on them laying the 1.5 right away, because that's right around the -110 mark. The 2 pop in, I just saw 2 pop at -115. So juice on that book to the 2 even. So Hornets getting the love here, and I love it.
I like it. Nice. Live information there for you guys. 100% agree on that one. By the way, just as a reminder for everyone, before we move on to our college bets here, if you are looking to up your game in sports betting, be sure to join our exclusive sports betting Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. Again, not only can you connect with expert handicappers who provide free picks for NBA, college basketball, NFL, MLB, NHL, player props, live betting, and more, but now you can also participate in our weekly community picks. It is absolutely fantastic. Got to take advantage of that. You get to cast your vote, see how your picks stack up against the experts, and track your success. So if you want to access that, all you got to do is join the exclusive sports betting community, Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. That's simple, guys. All right, we're going to go ahead and dive in here to our college bets here. Again, this was, we got college, we're really picking up here, I guess we're closing in on March. It feels like conference play just creeps up. And as we get to March Madness, it just goes faster and faster and faster. But this is fun. I feel like we're really picking up here. So let's go into these college bets here. Start off with Joe with your first college bet.
Yeah, I'm looking at the matchup here between Butler and St. John's. And we know St. John's has been rolling so nice and hot. Winning their last 5 here at Tera. They are up to a 13-point favorite across the books versus Butler. I'm really cautious with that spread because I do think this is a lower scoring defensive battle out here. We know Butler's so solid at defending and shutting down against the threes. And St. John's, if they were able to get those threes, I could see them winning and covering the spread with how they've been rolling, winning their last 5. But I look at this one and I think Butler's defense is going to come into play. St. John's defense is going to come into play as well. Now, the problem with this is when I bet it earlier in the day, it was 160.5. You're missing the best of the number, you guys. I think this probably you want to look at a live betting situation, hoping these teams get off to that fast start. And then you're getting something in that 160 range because the look ahead line on this was 162.5. It's now basically across the board 158.5. There's a couple 150 159.5 out there. There's a 159 that I'm seeing as well. But you look at the last 19 meetings between these two teams, and we should have some wiggle room because the last 19 meetings, the highest total they produced is 156. So we do have a bit of wiggle room based on what has happened in the past. But again, I'd like a live betting situation. If you guys can watch this game, see a couple of quick baskets, get a 160, 162, I'd feel a lot more comfortable than the 158. I don't know about you, Tara.
Yeah, I'm with you. You were good getting in that one early because that shift down does make a little bit of sense there. I mean, it was aggressive, right? Especially for when we're looking at these two teams. Obviously, we are expecting a ton of offense here, but I do feel like that's a massive ask. So I do like the under as well. The fact that it has shifted down that much is telling us everything that we need to know. And it's funny because it seems like money is fairly evenly split on that one. So the shift towards the under is really what I feel like just a general overcorrection to where it should have been from the get-go.
Yeah, it definitely should have been there from the start. And then you do have that movement up for St. John's. So more money coming in on St. John's to come out and cover even a larger spread. Like it was 12.5, and there's still some 12.5s, but that 13 is popping on the majority, a lot of the books. Sorry. So I'd be cautious, you guys. Maybe live bet it. What I would love to see, Tara, is both of these teams come out really hard, really solid to start this game. We're able to get a 162, then live bet that to the under, and then you're able to get St. John's if Butler can stay strong to start this game. If you can get them as a 9-point favorite, that's where I'm comfortable with St. John's.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense there. Moving on to my first college bet here. It is Houston and TCU. I often enjoy the point totals here, but on this one, the point total was just a little, I think I feel more comfortable with the lean towards Houston to cover. 7.5-point favorite. And I feel like that is mildly disrespectful there. But I get it though. Houston coming off a very ugly out of character performance where they allowed 90 points to Texas Tech. That's crazy considering the defensive powerhouse that we have seen Houston become here. But when we're looking at it being so extremely out of character, obviously because they're 7th and highest defensive efficiency in KenPom ratings, I think that was less about Houston's defense, having a major problem, and more about the fact that Texas Tech is just maybe being a little underrated there. I mean, it's tough to say that they are underrated here. It's not as if they're, being, unranked and unsold there. But when we're looking at them offensively here, I just think they're being a little bit underrated because they're such a strong offensive team. So I'm less concerned about Houston and just more impressed with Texas Tech and the performance that they put on. That's something that I think we really need to keep our eye on as we're heading closer to March Madness on that one. But back to Houston. Their defense will get back on track in this matchup. Prior to Texas Tech, they had played Arizona State. They won that game by a whopping 30 points there. Defense held up pretty well. Prior to that, though, they were on a fantastic run defensively, just fantastic run in general, but defensively against Arizona, Baylor, and even Texas Tech the first time that they played there. Cincinnati as well. They held all of those teams to a maximum of 65 points. That is more of the baseline here. And that second matchup with Texas Tech, kind of more so just like an outlier game here, and really just more of an indication that Texas Tech and Houston are just a lot closer together, and probably more of a difficult matchup in terms of the way that they match up with Houston for them. So when you're looking at this game right here in TCU, just a far better matchup in general. TCU's strength is on defense for sure there. They are ranked 21st in defensive efficiency. Offensively, though, we have got some problems outside of the top 100 there. I just don't think that their offense is built to handle this Houston defense. And while they may be able to try to keep up with keeping Houston's offense a little bit at bay, because again, they're strong defensively, I really don't see where their offense can kind of keep pace here. So I think this is a nice bounce back here. 7.5 is very reasonable. So I do like Houston to cover the spread on this one.
Okay, I'm liking where you're going with Houston covering the 7.5, even though I think it's an under game. Like the
Yeah.
136.5, I know it seems kind of scary to take it under as well as the favorite to cover, but I think Houston has a really solid bounce back game after taking that loss to Texas Tech. You also look at their meeting last season, and they combined for just 111 points. You got solid defense on both sides. And TCU, while they've had their struggles on the season, they've won their last two, and I do expect that defense to come out to play. But I'm with you. It's got to be Houston laying the points and the under 136 for me. I think we've got a really competitive game here, one in which Houston can have a big bounce back.
Yeah, you sold me on the under there because I was leaning that direction. It's such a low line when you're looking at it at first glance, but realistically, both of these teams in the strength of defense, the under is really the better lean on that one. So I was looking at projections and saying like, okay, showing that maybe it's going to hit the over. I just didn't feel comfortable with it. I think the under is a lot better on that one, so I'm 100% with you on that one.
Yeah, and I know everyone loves to back overs, right? The public loves to come in. You look for those points to come in, but I don't know, Tara. I'm really starting to buy into the fact if you bet an under, you're winning that bet until you lose it, right? Instead of always waiting for that bet to cash. So keep your fingers crossed, you guys. I really do think the 136.5. I won't even be shocked if we hit only 120 points, right? Like I'm expecting
Very
it to be that
realistic.
low.
Completely agree on that one. Let's move on to your second college bet there.
Yeah. Okay, this one we've got Marshall taking on Texas State. Now, Texas State, I can't trust them. I think they've had a pretty weak schedule, Tara. When I looked over their
Mm,
schedule, I just went, this is a team that I don't think is going to be able to hang with Marshall, and the books are starting to reflect that. Marshall was a 3-point favorite. It's moved up to 4.5 across the majority of the books. If you're looking to get Marshall right now, there's still a couple 3.5s, but that 3.5, you're going to have to lay between minus 115 and minus 120. I think a better way to attack this is to look at Marshall's defense to really come to play and shut down Texas State. I got Texas State's team total under 72.5. Now you look at Texas State, they don't shoot a lot of threes, right? They're shooting the least amount in the whole college basketball league. And when we're looking at a team like that, especially against a defense like Marshall can play, I'm expecting them to struggle to put those points up on the board here. I won't be shocked if they hit 65 points. We got tons of wiggle room with 72.5. So I'll take Texas State's team total under the 72.5. And I do think if you can get Marshall laying just 3.5, grab it. Again,
mm.
a live betting situation if you see them fall below the 4.5 points, but maybe they don't even need it. Maybe they can win this by, 6-7 points out there, Tara.
I agree. I like the under on that. And yeah, I'm kind of leaning that direction of maybe the 4.5 is just perfectly fine to go ahead and bet there. I don't think it's wrong to wait and see if you can get it back to that 3.5 line on that one. Perhaps that was a little shift in terms of trying to shift the money there. But yeah, I think the 4.5 is reasonable. I feel like it might be a little tight, but I feel like it's a very reasonable hit there.
Yeah, it is pretty reasonable here for Marshall. Like I'm expecting a lot out of them in this one. And like I said, Texas State, who they've played, I just can't trust them to compete with a team here like Marshall. So what would I be more shocked by? I'd be more shocked if Texas State found a way to get the win than I would be by Marshall winning this by 10 to 15 points. Right. So I just don't think Texas State can hang even at home, right? They're on their home court.
Yeah. Makes a ton of sense there. Ton of sense. All right, guys, I'm going to give you my second college bet here. It is UCLA and Oregon over 137.5 there. This is very interesting, right? Oregon is responsible for this line being so low. It is their fault. Unfortunately, they have, I feel like it's underselling it a little bit here. And I feel like as I'm talking through it, you're probably wondering why the over that, because they've been struggling so badly. Yeah, they've got, unfortunately, a lot of offensive inconsistencies, and they are on a skid since entering conference play here. The last time that they won was January 2nd. We are almost closing out the month here. That was against Maryland. And even offensively, they only scored 64 in that points with the win there. They're ranked 102 in offensive efficiency ratings. And but I do think that it appears a lot worse than what it actually is when it comes to their offense. They are capable of scoring. They have had strong offensive performances. It's not a complete bust situation in terms of they can't get up there in scoring. They've had strong offensive performances against Michigan and Gonzaga, who by all means are difficult defensive matchups. So it's just a little bit of inconsistency here. UCLA can push them to a higher point total there.
Mhm.
They're fairly balanced offensive and defensively. They do play a slower style. But again, that's the push that we're talking here. They will try to keep the tempo down. But 137 is overselling it a little here, because Oregon's best bet here is to try and force the pace up a little bit here, get them out of character, raise it up here. But again, in Oregon's defense, it's just been a brutal time for them, unfortunately, in terms of their schedule here. Their last matchup was against Washington, but prior to that, they had Michigan State, Michigan, Nebraska. I mean, when you look at that, you can make all the excuses in the world and say, no, I completely understand why your offense has been whiffing and why you have been struggling, because it's just been such a brutal stretch for them.
Yeah, it absolutely has. So you're rolling with the over. What did you get your over at?
137, was it 137 and a half, I believe?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
dropped. So this is really good news. You can get 136s out there right now. And I love
Yeah.
it, Tara. I think you're on the right side of this. I'm shocked to see that movement down, because I do think Oregon here, their defense as well, like struggles offensively, but defensively, UCLA should be able to pile up the points in this one. So I like UCLA. I'd even lay the 4 points with UCLA, but look at Oregon to push them and keep it, tight until that fourth quarter. And then for UCLA to pull away at the very end. So I'd lay the 4. I'd take the over 136. I'd take your number of 137 and a half as well. It's dropped just way too low. It was 139 that opening look. And I don't understand why people have come in on the under here.
Yeah, just continuing to plummet on that one. I get that, just because, again, of Oregon and their offensive inconsistencies. But like you talked about, which also instills the confidence in just UCLA in general there. UCLA can get there, and Oregon is going to have to push to keep pace. I think it's more of a lopsided matchup than it appears to be. So we're going to push the points there offensively from UCLA on that one.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. I'm going to tail you on that one. I'm going to jump in, especially because I just saw 135 and a half pop. What the heck, Tara? Why is it so low? 135 and a half? I'm not seeing any notifications that anyone is not going to be in that game. So I'm watching the injury report. There's nothing there for us.
Yeah, I'm trying to look and see what would be the logic for that. I don't know. Maybe it's just maybe they're trying to get over to more bets on the point total on that one, because obviously maybe the lean is aggressively UCLA on that one. That does make a ton of sense.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting, Tara. I think you got it. I think you got it. Too much money coming in. I'd be comfortable with your 137 and a half as well that you got it at. I think the books have it wrong. The public have it wrong. Everyone's got it wrong, Tara. You got it right.
There we go. Let's hope. That 135. Yeah, that is very juicy there, because it opened at 141. So we are just kind of plummeting on that one.
Yeah. Crazy.
Now jumping back here real quick to NBA, because again, guys, I mentioned that we got a fantastic slate in general with this, with a lot of matchups that we did not discuss on that one. So I did want to jump us real quick to some of these games here. We've got the Lakers and Cavs on that one. That was a fun one. Again, the reason why I like this slate so much is because I like it when we're getting the majority of these point spreads being between, we've got 2.5 there. Cleveland, a 2.5 point favorite on that one. You look at Miami and Orlando. I don't think we talked about that one. That's another 2.5 point situation favorite there for 3.5 there for both of those, actually. But you can get 2.5 in a couple of places. But both of those, we've got a lot of very evenly spread games on this one. So we got the Lakers and Cavs, Bulls and Pacers, Orlando Magic and Heat, Hawks, Celtics, Rockets, and Spurs on that one. One that I kind of looked at, but I was a little bit hesitant to make it which is ironic because I did Laurie Markkinen off of the first game back there, but I looked at Sam Merrill a lot for this Lakers and Cavs, and I just didn't quite trust myself enough. It's not him, it's me. Trust myself enough to get there, but I felt really compelled on that one to make that one of my bets there. The lines are very reasonable here, projected to hit the over there on BettingPros in a wide variety of areas. Points plus rebounds, points plus assists, PRA. And it's a line where he's, in theory, if it's a full game for him, if it's a normal game, like if he comes back, like we saw with Markkinen, came back 29 minutes, very reasonable there, right? If we see him come back in this game at a reasonable workload there, I mean, he's almost a lock to hit the over on that one. I just had concerns around how much can we trust his minutes in the first game back. And I was searching and trying to see if I could find any little tidbits there. And when I couldn't, I was just like, I go, okay. Was trying to see like maybe piggyback and try to find some potential unders on some of the other players that would be affected by his return. But I ultimately chickened out on that one. But I think that one's a real interesting one.
I think that one's interesting. And I also think looking at the Lakers and the Cavs, looking at LeBron for something, right? Like I want to take him for something here. I took him for over 1.5 made threes. Now LeBron's been firing that ball up. He's averaging 4.5 attempts. He hasn't had the best shooting year, right? Like he's missing a ton out there. But I think here in his hometown, we could see LeBron have a solid night. He's projected on the BettingPros app for just over this at 1.9. Yeah, over 1.5 coming in. It's a little bit of plus money at plus 105. I think he's worth a shot here tonight, Tera.
I think that makes a ton of sense here. And when you're just looking at his projections overall, I mean, BettingPros feels good because they're very, very on par there. Like, right on the cusp with points, a little bit over on assists and rebounds, a little bit over here. So we are feeling good about it, even though we have been a little traumatized with LeBron and the overs here. But yeah, that one is also very interesting because you mentioned storylines, and often that plays such a big role in it. So it feels very compelling there.
Yeah, it really does. You got to play something for LeBron. And I know he did us dirty on his birthday, right? Like, I couldn't believe how bad LeBron came out on that day. Maybe they went out the night before. Something definitely happened there with LeBron, or maybe he's just showing his age, but I'm looking for him to really show up. And we do have a question in the live chat on Josh Giddey. You got any thoughts on Josh Giddey tonight, Tera? He's asking the double, the assists. What do you think? Can he get those assists tonight?
Oh, it's perfect that you asked that, Nate, because literally I was going to talk about that matchup in particular next, and Josh Giddey was one of the people that I was looking at because there's the BettingPros, it's rating out a lot of unders there. So I'm kind of, you've already bet it, the points and rebounds in the matchup there against the smaller Andrew Nembhard. Yeah, I can get on board with it because while the projections were showing unders, I didn't feel comfortable with it. I thought that overs could be realistic here in this matchup here. Again, it's one that's going to be a little bit closer here. We're not expecting one of the teams to aggressively lean one way or the other here. Do like the matchup as well. So I can get on board with you on that one, Nate.
Yeah, I think so too. He's coming out averaging right around 7.5 rebounds, 7.5 assists. It's going to be such a competitive game between those two teams. And I know there's some people wanting to come in on the under between that one, but I tell you, I think we're going to slightly push to the over between them. So I look at Josh Giddey. If you haven't bet the double-double, I'm just trying to find how much you're getting for that double-double. That's something I'm always looking at, Tera, is what price we're actually getting for it if I can justify betting it. Because, these guys hit 9 rebounds or 9 assists so many times out there, and it's absolutely heartbreaking, right? Like when you're putting your money on it. So I'm just looking. I can't find it as of yet. Just give me a second.
I guarantee you will get there quicker than me. While you're looking. Oh, you got it?
Yeah. No, I don't have it. I've almost got it here. Oh, he's plus 130 for the double-double. He's the odds-on favorite for the double-double tonight.
Yeah, let's go with it.
Yeah.
Let's go with it. Yeah, we got another key or comment there, Nate. Estimate his minutes will increase. Got it for nice plus 138 on
Nice.
Kalshi. I think I think you got it there. Makes a ton of sense. In that matchup, I was also looking at Pascal Siakam. I was just like, I feel like it's just right on the cusp there. He's rating out very positively on a lot of overs on that one. It's one of those lines that's literally like right on baseline with where he typically tends to hit here. When you're looking at it, it's one of those things where on the season overall, he's done very well in terms of hitting the over on his points. The matchup, again, we're feeling positively about this one in general. But for some reason, over the past 15 or so games, it's not hitting the way that it used to earlier on that one. So we've got a little bit of variance on there, but I do like Siakam a little bit on that one in terms of the overs on his points there.
Yeah, I think so. When you break it down over on the BettingPros app, his points tonight, the 24.5 projected for 25.5, and that big under. He was only able to get 21 points versus OKC, but he did go over it in that one versus Atlanta. He went over versus Boston, going over versus the Celtics, the 76ers, and the Pelicans. So I think he has every opportunity. He also went over versus Raptors, 26 points versus the Raptors. So there's been some down games. There's been games where we've seen 11 points out of him in 26 minutes. Come on, Pascal can't do that to us today. That he can't do us dirty. But I do think competitive game here, Pascal has to step up because who else have the Pacers seriously got?
That's it. Poor Pacers. I feel so bad. It's not getting any better anytime soon. So it is what it is for them. It's literally Siakam, and that's it. Another one that I did not look at all in terms of any, nothing was really appealing to me. Hawks and Celtics. One thing that I was noticing was that we were getting some unders there on Jaylen Brown, which I did want to highlight because I thought that was very interesting because we had been, it's been an over friendly. He's been over friendly in terms of recently and just in general on the season there. So that there was nothing else that really stuck out to me in that matchup. Is there anything else on that one for you?
I looked at that one and I looked at the Boston Celtics. I just wanted to lay the 5.5 points with the Boston Celtics in that, expecting them to come out, this to be, the Hawks looking to push that pace, but the Celtics just controlling everything out there. I thought the 5.5 was a pretty fair number. I expected them, like when I looked at this line, originally I expected them to be 7.5 point favorites. So for me, it was the Celtics, keeping it under the 232.5 because I think their defense is going to shut down the Hawks in this matchup tonight.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense there. And then Magic and the Heat, I did look at that one a little bit because one person that was popping for me was Paolo Banchero on that one. But outside of that, let me see if I can pull up his stuff here real quick.
He's got some solid overs on the BettingPros app. So
yeah,
he
this game in
made
general.
my slate, Tera. So I might have to tell you, what are you going to do with him?
Oh my gosh, let me see here because I had Desmond Bain up, so let me make sure that I switch over on that one. Let's see there. There we go. Points was really the one that was popping for me. And then I think you could also lean towards points plus rebounds on that one as well. But again, when I'm looking at that one, I feel pretty good about the matchup. That's the one thing that was kind of making me lean towards that one. And it ended up not making my card. But overall, when you're looking at the matchup, that's kind of the thing that made me lean towards that one, especially maybe not just going points and going points plus rebounds on that one, just because it has been a little bit friendlier of a matchup to the position for rebounds in particular there. Rebounds, steals, blocks are the ones that are popping for him in terms of a good matchup on that one. So you could go with the points on that one because it's not exactly a tough matchup on that one, but I think going points plus rebounds is the better direction to go on that one.
Yeah, and I think you could almost look at him for points, rebounds, and assists. Now he's coming off 51 total points, rebounds, and assists versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. So he's coming off a huge game out there. He was on the road for that, but he's projected on the BettingPros app for 39.5. His number across the majority of the books is 37.5. I did see a 36.5 earlier, and this is why I was kind of like going back and forth. I was like, why are the books so far off this projected, especially at 36.5 compared to 39.5? With him coming up that big game, because normally they come off a big game and we're going to have to pay more on those props. But I think this is when he can get it here versus the Miami Heat. This is a game that has not the highest total, 233.5, but a game in which Banchero's going to have to come out nice and solid here. They're a 3.5 point dog on the road. I think, Tera, I hate to say it, I believe in Magic tonight. I think the Orlando Magic pull it off, and it's on Banchero's back. So I'm going to take them plus 130 to plus 140 right now on that money line. And Banchero I convinced myself his points, rebounds, and assists over the 37.5.
Nice, love it. And then the other one matchup that we had not talked about was the Spurs and Rockets on that one. Again, another very close. Again, I love this slate here. Another close spread on this one. Rockets 2.5 point favorite there, which is interesting because we've got projections that show that the lean should be towards the Rockets on that one. But again, I think I kind of avoided this one in general just because I did not like the game total on that one at 220.5 on that one. I do think it should go over on that one. But defensively, it's just making me pause a little bit in terms of looking at potentially any overs on that one. The one person that was popping just a little bit there is Wemby, but I mean, it's nothing that's really popping massively in terms of productions. Like if you're looking at points there, he's projected 1 over the consensus line there. If you're looking at, again, points plus assists, 1 over the consensus line there, points plus rebounds, right on it. So I think he's a positive potential one in this matchup here. But again, I think it might have to be some kind of maybe like a little bit here, but I don't feel aggressively leaning towards anything in this matchup there.
Come on, you want the Spurs. You want the Spurs straight up on the money line. I can hear it in your voice, Tera. They're plus 130 here. They can get it done versus the Houston Rockets, but you're right. Wemby has to have a huge game for them to be able to come out. Now, I think you'd look at his points and rebounds. That's the number that I kind of got to when I was looking at Wemby, because I do like his ability to get those rebounds on the board. He's been so solid, and I think he's going to get the points tonight versus the Houston Rockets. So the points and rebounds, 34.5. Like Tera said, he's right on that number for the projections on the BettingPros app. But I don't trust the Houston Rockets to be able to really contain Wemby out here. And I think the Spurs, I think they can win it. So if you're a little nervous about the money line, you can grab them plus the 2.5, minus 108. But if the Rockets are winning this, they're winning it by 3. So it's either you trust the Spurs and you take them plus 130 on the money line, in my opinion, or you just stay off it.
I like it. I do. And then you mentioned points plus rebounds and leaning towards, rebounds on that one. I did want to point out for you guys, in case you are willing to get a little bit risky on that one, the over on just rebounds there, you are getting plus money on that one. If you were feeling confident about the rebounds on that one and you want to get, again, it's a little bit risky, but Joe's got me leaning that direction.
Gotta make some money somewhere. I hate paying the juice. I hate laying it. And the Spurs, they have the possibility of doing it here.
That's true. Maybe I'm just like traumatized from my anytime touchdowns on Sunday there. That was a weird one. I hit all of my very weird. Sorry for our basketball segue there, but I hit all of the props in terms of like receiving yards and rushing yards. That was no problem. But those anytime touchdowns with that weather, it got me.
I think that weather crushed everyone in that early game, that's for sure. Especially Denver. Poor Denver. I feel for them, that's for sure.
Yeah, painful on that one. Jumping back to the chat there. Oh, wait, we had our producer Seth say Wemby and Spurs money line parlay.
Okay, I love it.
There's some good guys, go out there and check as we're closing out the show, because again, we always recommend shopping things around.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You got to shop those lines for sure. Did you have anything? That's tomorrow. I was like, the Kings and the 76ers are popping up on my screen. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's already tomorrow. Great slate of basketball again tomorrow, Tara.
Same thing happens to me as I'm sitting there scrolling, and then I scroll myself into the next day. Because it's right at that time where we start getting the updates and we don't realize we're going through it. I'm like, wait, that one is for tomorrow. Don't get ahead of ourselves on that one.
Yeah. Anything else you had in college basketball for us to look at?
Let's look at college basketball for a second. Nate did say loving some, there we go. Loving some Pascal tonight as well. Bet him 8+ rebounds for +112 on that one. Over on the line in the prior 2 meetings versus Chicago this season. Good. So we're all consensus on that one. We're all feeling good about Pascal on that one. Moving on to, let's see if we've got a few minutes left here. Let me see if I can get us to, while I'm pulling that up, just as a reminder, guys, by the way, just before I forget on that one, I want you to make sure that you are tuning into the Daily Juice. I almost forgot to remind you guys about the Daily Juice, which would be a tragedy because it is so fantastic. Please make sure that you are tuning in to the Daily Juice podcast to get Matt Peralt's top picks and props across all major sports every single day in 15 minutes or less. He is a machine for that one. Check out the Daily Juice on BettingPros YouTube channel or wherever you listen to your podcast, and start winning today. Never forget to talk about that one, because again, it is an excellent podcast for you guys to listen to. Let's close out with college here. Is there anything that's popping for you right off the bat here?
Yeah, so Texas +7, you can get them right now versus Auburn. I think their offense can hang here with Auburn. My concern, though, is defensively. Like, are they going to let Auburn just pull away drastically in this game? I don't know. Maybe if Auburn does pull away and we're getting a little bit more, but I think 7 points is really generous here for Texas, even though they're out there on the road. That total has dropped as well. We're seeing 158 was the look ahead lines, now down to 154.5. And if Texas hangs away, I think that they will in this one, Tara. I think we go over the 154.5. So for me, it's Texas plus the 7 and the over 154.5. Is there any reasons why I should stay off that?
I like it. It's right on the cusp there, but I think that the Longhorns on the lean to on that one, because projections showing for me right at 6, so I think the line is very appropriate on that one. I know the 154 seems aggressive, but I do think the over is the lean on that one as well. So I'm 100% with you on that one. It's actually interesting because again, the line shift on that one has been pretty aggressive since open.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And then we've got Rice in East Carolina. This is one where I think Rice is going to have some struggles out there. East Carolina is only a 2.5-point favorite, and we got a total of 141. I think East Carolina is the play in that game. I just don't think Rice can come in here on the road and take it to East Carolina, but I think it's tight, Tara, and that's my kind of concern. With the 2.5, it was a 1 before. Couldn't you see this being a 72-71 style game, which just pushes us right on that total 141.5? It's crazy.
It does. Yeah. I think the over lean on that, which is interesting because I think a lot of people are leaning towards the under on that one. Rice in my backyard on that one. I should have talked about that maybe for the hometown people. Not technically my hometown. As you guys see, my hometown would clearly be Clemson on that one, but I am a Houston transplant on that one. So I do need to show a little loyalty. I've been here a while, 15 odd years. So I think I have to claim it.
You do.
One that I was looking at, as I mentioned, my my South Carolina roots there. One that I was looking at that I didn't want to talk about because I never want to talk about the South Carolina Gamecocks ever. This one is really, really popping here because Florida, South Carolina, it seems like there's a very good lean on the Gamecocks to cover at plus 13.5. That feels extremely aggressive of a line there. Even I can say that I think South Carolina can put up a better showing than that and make this a more competitive game here. So that might be another one that people can look at as well.
Okay, I'm not opposed to grabbing the Gamecocks plus all those points. 13.5, that's a lot of points in a basketball game. So yeah, I would go there as well.
All right, guys. If we don't have any other questions there, and thank you for the chats there, Nate. Let's jump to our recaps here. Joe, you want to start off with the recaps of your bets?
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at what I've got out there tonight, in the NBA, I've got the Dallas Mavericks plus the 7. You guys can grab them plus 7.5 currently versus the Timberwolves. I got Cooper Flag of the Mavericks over 6.5 rebounds, expecting him to come out nice and strong. I actually would fire that lineup probably to over 9.5 rebounds for a little bit of a ladder effect. And then Karl Anthony Towns here of the New York Knicks over his rebounds of 11.5, firing all the way up to 15 plus rebounds. He's had that versus the Raptors in the last 3 here in Toronto. That's coming in at plus 320. And then on the college basketball slate, I'm looking at Butler versus St. John's under the 160.5. Now this number has dropped. It's 158.5. Maybe a live betting situation for you guys if you're just seeing this now. Or if you're still comfortable, the 158.5, they've produced totals of 156.5 in the last 19 meetings, staying under that number. And then Texas State, I just can't see this team putting up a whole lot of points here on Marshall, even at home. I'm taking their team total under the 72.5, expecting Marshall as well to come out and cover that original line of 3.5. It's fired up to 4.5 now, but I still think they probably win it by 5-6 points. So that's where I'm going, Tara. What do you got for us?
Nice. Recapping my bets here for NBA, I had Lauri Markkanen over 29.5 points plus rebounds on that one. This is his second game back here. Was very positively feeling about the minutes that he played last night, about 29 minutes, was a good showing for him. We're getting Keontae George back in this game as well, coming off of rest. We have a high over-under in this game here, so we love the matchup. We're going to push here. I feel like we're getting Markkanen back here at full speed. And again, this is one where we're seeing both of these teams. Unfortunately, we know that the Jazz is struggling, but the Warriors have been on the struggling end of trying to, just dipping, unfortunately, there that we've not Jimmy Butler out. So we're expecting a lot in this matchup here. So I like the over there with Markkanen. My second NBA bet there that I had was LaMelo Ball over 24.5 points plus assist on that one. I mean, really, you can go a wide variety of directions with him on this one. But again, as we talked about earlier, the assists there for LaMelo have just been so solid, really, and so consistent. So if you're worried that the points might be waning a little bit there, I think combining the points plus assists and going the over on that one. And another offensively friendly matchup here with a lot of, injuries and illnesses going on, unfortunately, here should push the pace up a little bit more. And so we've got a nice point total projection on this one. Then Houston at TCU. We're taking Houston there to cover at 7.5. The line, people, it just felt a little bit disrespectful there. TCU can put up a good fight on this one, but Houston should bounce back after a very weird matchup where the defense gave up a big whopping 90 points there to Texas Tech. Good Texas Tech team in the previous matchup. So very understandable here. We're going to get a bounce back here for Houston offensively to cover the spread here. And then UCLA at Oregon, we are taking the over there on the point total at 137.5. Again, this perception of Oregon being so dreadful offensively is what's really driving this line down here, unfortunately. Overall, we do feel like the pace is going to go up on this game here. It's a very reasonable number here, and we feel very good about UCLA's offense and very bad about Oregon's defense there. So we should definitely hit the over on this one here. But that wraps things up, guys. We appreciate you tuning in. As always, make sure that you are locked in and subscribed to Betting Pros for a wide variety of bets across all sports on that one. So thank you for tuning in with us, guys. For Joe Madden, I'm Tara Roberts. We will talk to you again later. Have a fantastic week. Good luck on your bets.